Hello, we are going to be talking about curating playlists, how we can find episodes, how we can make a list using a site called Listen Notes, and how we can maybe deliver those episodes and those curated playlists to our students. So I am going to shrink me down and show you how we can use Listen Notes. So I've already gone to listennotes.com. I'm already signed in. If you were to use this, it would say login up here in the corner, and you can log in using your Google credentials. So click that red login with Google button, and it makes that easy. So when we're in Listen Notes, we can just search on nearly any podcast, and it pulls from lots and lots of different feeds, so it can pull in a lot of different information for you. And that's useful, and it's especially useful, this website, because we can make a listen later list, I guess is what it's called, a playlist, and we can then share that out. We can also collaborate on colleagues or PLC members with that list. For today's example, I'm going to be pretending that I am teaching a unit on natural disasters. So I have a few options here. I click here and I can search for, I can try natural disasters and see what comes up. I think it's probably going to be more useful to go to the specific natural disaster. But I search for natural disasters, and the first thing that comes up is an Islamic response podcast. I don't know this podcast. It's not likely to be tied to what we're wanting to do. So I want to go to filters, and you'll want to do this as well, pretty much for any topic you do. Within categories, you can select more than one, but generally for your purposes, choosing education for kids is always going to be useful. And as I said, you can then also choose another one. I'm just going to stick with education for kids because I don't want to reduce it too much. And I will apply filters. Before I do that, though, I do want to show you can also put a maximum. Sometimes that's nice because you might not even want to see an episode that's longer than 30 minutes. So you could put 30 minutes as your maximum. But I want to see everything that's out there. So I'm just only going to choose that one category and click Apply Filters. And now we're getting to things that are more in line with what we were likely wanting. So I have how tsunamis work, how Pompeii worked, and this is from Stuff You Should Know, which is a great podcast. Depending on your age level, this would be a perfect episode. If you teach very young, though, in the elementary buildings, I do not imagine that this is the podcast or the show that you would want to use. It's pretty high level, although you could have a differentiated list too and just give access for some of your higher listeners and your some of your high flyers. They could maybe have access to that as well. I'm scrolling down. Stuff You Missed in History Class is a great one, but also for some older kids, and more how stuff work or Stuff You Should Know. So as I thought, we're going to need to refine what we're searching for. So I'm going to search for, let's start with earthquakes. And it kept my filter because I didn't back out of this. So it kept education for kids. And the first one I see is from But Why, a podcast for curious kids. And it is a great podcast for this purpose, for elementary kids, middle grade kids, and middle school kids, and even a little bit younger, I would say. And so I know this podcast. Maybe I know I want to use it, but if I don't, I can preview it here. I can click this red play button, and it's going to start down there. It just plays it within the website, which is also a nice benefit. If I can move me just a little bit here. Sometimes it's also useful if you want to get a really quick preview. You can also change the playback speed it up. I don't really enjoy listening to podcasts on a faster speed all the time, but if I want to preview something, that's kind of a good tactic that we could use. Some people like doing it all the time to get through more content. Kind of stresses me out if they start going too fast. So I've listened to this, and let's say I've listened to it and I like what I'm hearing. I don't want to use the whole thing. I want to offer this as an option to my students to listen to. If I click these three buttons, I have some choices. I can download it, which you could do, but it downloads as a file. It's not always that useful for if you're sharing with kids. You can create a clip, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but we can also save this to a playlist. So if I click Save, and it says Add to, I've practiced with this before, so I have a couple of playlists already, but you can choose a new playlist, create a new playlist, and you name it. So I will just name this Natural Disasters. I can make it public, private, which means it's only for me, or unlisted might be what you want, which means you can give someone a direct link to it, but people can't search and find what you've done. Although if you keep it public, then you can start collaborating possibly with people in other schools in other states even. So I'll keep it public for now, and I'm going to click Create Playlist. And it added, and I want to add this, it added it already actually to my natural disasters playlist. I could put a note on there if I want to remind myself why I added this, if it's not immediately obvious from the episode title, or I could even give a timestamp if I know that there's a piece or a section that's really useful, especially useful. So, but it's added that, so I'm going to click that X, and now I can come back and I can search for another topic. So natural disasters, I'll do volcanoes. It is keeping that filter. It shows me right here, these are education for kids, and I get a few options here right away. Tumble, it's from Gen Z Media. They make Mars Patel and lots of other good shows. It's a great one. I'm going to add that right away. I'll click Save, and I'll choose natural disasters, and it's added there. You can close that. Now we'll come down here. We have Wow in the World, When Underwater Volcanoes Grow Up. Wow in the World is a great show. However, sometimes the very beginnings of the show are a little extraneous materials that I don't necessarily have time for my kids to listen to, let's say. And this might be a really good one for me to add a clip. So I can click those three dots and create a clip. From the Create a Clip menu, we have your start time, your end time, and then the title. So again, you can give it a more specific title if you choose to. I haven't listened to this episode, but I'm going to pretend that the 7-minute mark is when I want kids to start listening. There's 7 minutes of kind of extra stuff at the beginning that I don't find that useful. So I'll do 7, and I'm going to let it play all the way to the end. But again, if you listen to this and you know that you only want your kids to hear 7 minutes to 8 minutes, you can make it exactly that 1 minute, and that's all they're going to hear. And if I want to give it a title, you can. Otherwise, it's just going to take in the title from the episode. So I'll click Create Clip. And the clip has been created. It says click here to listen and share, and that's how you're going to add it to your playlist. So now we're at...
You want to take all this... You want...
Sorry, so it played that. It showed me right away where it started at 7 minutes. It automatically plays that, and then it says clip of, and then the title of the episode. And this, I have the save option here. I can do that, and then I can add it to my playlist, Natural Disasters. Again, I could add a note if I choose to. We have this Listen Later menu up here. I can click on that, and that will show me my playlist. So again, I've told you I played around with this before, but here's my Natural Disasters playlist. I can click on that. I can enter that playlist and see I have 3 things in here right now, including the clip that I added, and I can add contributors. So this is where we can start to collaborate within teams. If I click on that, it says only the creator and contributors can see this card. Search username or full name, and then invite a contributor to curate this playlist together. So that was hard for me to spit out. But this is where they would need to have an account already, and you could invite them through here. I do not believe that there's a way to invite strictly based on email. So you're going to need to make sure that your teammates or your collaborators have signed up ahead of time. So I can come back again. I'm still in my Natural Disasters playlist. I can put an image up there if that's useful to me. And there are settings here, so I can have settings and I can change who's able to see it, how they can access it, some other options within that. And then I have share. So if I click on share, I can share the URL, which will take kids or colleagues directly to this playlist. And that is what I would likely want to do. So I would choose copy, and then I could paste that link into another document or to Google Classroom or Canvas or however you get information to your kids, or on your website even. Do that. You can archive it if you are not, if you're done with it and you don't plan on using it anymore. And then it says subscribe, and I could subscribe to this and get notifications. That's going to be useful if you do use it with a collaborator or a contributor, and that will sort of give you an update of when somebody has added an episode to your playlist. That's also good if you find a playlist that someone else has created. So I have a document here that I opened, curated episode examples. So we made that within Listen Notes, which is a really good website for some of the reasons I just showed you. And I want to show you that I copied that link. I could also paste it here. So that's that link that we had right there that kids or colleagues could follow. But I also know that some of you may not want to direct your kids to to Listen Notes for a variety of reasons. You also might be teaching younger students and you just don't really want them to be navigating another website like that, in which case you can also just add links to a document or a website or Symbaloo or Google Classroom or however you might get information to your kids. So if I were to use, I'll just show you really quickly, if I were to use Google Docs for that, I like to do tables. It just keeps things sort of neat and clean looking. So I could do that, and here I could say, give it the column a title, episode title, and link, let's say, even though you could make the episode title itself the link. I'll make those bold and maybe just a little bit bigger. And here I could say, what was one of those? Wow in the World, volcanoes. I will come back to my tab for Listen Notes, find that Wow in the World, Hey Baby Island, how do you get here? Oh, I don't think it's working because I'm in the embed link. Here we go. Hey Baby Island, how do you get here? That's the episode I want. Let's say in this example, I can choose share and URL for this episode, copy. Go back to my document and paste that link right there. Again, as I kind of mentioned, you can also make the actual words the link. So you highlight them and insert link or Command K and paste the link that you have right there. And now those words themselves are the link. And again, you could just add in the but why, volcano, or was that earthquakes maybe? And keep building your list that way. There are lots of ways that we can get these links to kids. These links, as you see, are directed straight through, or directed straight to, rather, the Listen Notes website. Otherwise, we have Wow in the World. I'm just Googling Wow in the World volcanoes, the direct link to the website, because some of you might want to be keeping them, again, away from Listen Notes for one reason or another, and you just want to direct them straight to the website. This is how we could listen to that episode. I'll grab this link, so I highlighted it, and I'm doing Command or Control C to copy. Come back here, and maybe, like I said, instead of the link that we had put before, I could put that link. That's a little more lengthy, of course. So again, I can get rid of the link I had. So one more time, highlight the words I like to make the link, insert link, and paste. Okay, so those are a couple ways to find podcasts and then also curate lists, but share those episodes with your kids. Again, we are not, especially with science topics, not necessarily teaching our content with these episodes, because a lot of the episodes are going to be very specific to one aspect of an earthquake or a volcano. So we're not only relying on these for content, but maybe rather just giving a more full picture, a fuller picture, more context for our students, and just building that background knowledge for our kids.